What's going on? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to welcome you to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And we are Black first on this platform. So if you also are Black first, if you believe that the Black community matters more than other communities, please put your hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1 is our calling card. It means that Black people come first. And that's just the way it's always going to be on this platform. So today I had it's something I really wanted to talk about because I really think that there's a lot of lessons in this. And this is not coming at this issue from a gossipy perspective at all. But how many of you saw what was going on with Scottie Pippen's wife? Scottie Pippen's wife, Larsa. Apparently, she is what I might call a super thought. She is she's the ultimate groupie, apparently. And she's been engaged in some crazy ass behavior that I think was worth talking about because I think that just in generally speaking about when you talk about wealth and relationships, there's a connection there that I want to elaborate. So to dig into this issue, I had to bring in my homeboy, the brother who actually introduced this topic to me, who brought this story to my attention, Jeff Lightsy Jr. Jeff Lightsy Jr. Is a frequent contributor to the Black Boss channel. And first of all, I want to welcome my brother. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Dr. Boyce?
Doing very well, man. Very well. So you schooled me on what was going on with Scottie Pippen's wife, Larsa. Can you kind of catch us up on what's been going on with her and why he and she have been trending on Twitter?
Yeah, so they've been trending simply because, like you said, Scottie Pippen's wife, and I referred to her as an ex-wife at first, but it's technically still his wife. His wife, Larsa, is out here flaunting and going all kinds of crazy with these very young, very married NBA players and superstar athletes. So for those who don't know, Scottie Pippen has his wife, Larsa. They filed for divorce, but it is his wife. They have 4 children together, the oldest one being like 19, 20 years old. And she was recently spotted in Miami with a young man named Malik Beasley, who's 24. Larsa's 46. He's 24. And Malik Beasley is actually married to a woman named Montana Yao, right? So they were spotted in Miami holding hands on what seems to be Malik's birthday. And so why it was such a big thing was because, like you said, Larsa's married, Malik's married, and he has a child at home. And his wife actually found out that Malik was down in Miami partying with Larsa Pippen through the internet, right? Through Twitter. It wasn't like he told her or whatever. Like he was actually found out her husband was cheating on her through Twitter, and it kind of threw her for a loop because the NBA season starts in less than 20 days, right? So this happened about 4 or 5 days ago, and she thought he was in Minnesota, which he just got a big 4-year, $60 million contract from. She thought he was in Minnesota getting ready for the season, and turns out he's spending his birthday down in Miami with Larsa Pippen. And this is just the first of several incidents that involve Larsa Pippen, right? Like and it's not like me making this stuff up. Like she's on record talking about, hooking up with Future, the rapper who's got several baby mamas. She's on record talking about hooking up with Tristan Thompson, the NBA player who's been around Khloe Kardashian and all, their history. And she's on record, talking about flaunting and talking about being with all these different men and all these different things. And still at the end of the day is able to go home to Scottie Pippen, right? Like she's able to, sit up there and defend him, sit up and go home to him. Like that's the most recent thing. So boys, I don't know if you know this, but there's a picture floating around that Larsa Pippen is back at home with Scottie. Like she's come back home. Like this came out today. like Scottie's currently trending on Twitter right now because Larsa Pippen showed up at the doorstep of the home that he lives in. Right. So it is a big mess, man. And it really goes back to kind of what LeVar Ball said. And a lot of people had, was pissed at him for saying that you can't find a woman, though he was telling his sons, you can't find a woman like I found your mom while you're playing in the NBA. Well, Scottie Pippen married Larsa Pippen while he was in the NBA. And on a surface level, it might have seemed fine, right? Like he married her with no prenup, but they had all these kids and everything seemed good. But then, after she gets a few million followers on Instagram or the emergence of Instagram, and she starts hanging out with people like Future, and stuff ain't the same, right? Like stuff is not the same, and that is the reality that we're living in at this point.
Well, you know what? First of all, everybody who just came in, I'm talking to Jeff Lightsy Jr. We're talking about Scottie Pippen's very expensive wife. And I don't think it's a matter of really talking about somebody's relationship and gossiping to that point. It's really a matter of really talking about the fact that there's a link between money and relationships. It's hard to imagine that this woman, when you see them as a couple, I don't really see them as a couple that would have naturally occurred. I think that having a lot of money, give me a yes or no if you agree. I think having a lot of money for some reason, it makes guys a lot more handsome than they would be if they didn't have any money. When you start getting that money in the bank, suddenly you become the best looking man in the room. And there are people who are strategic about that. There are people who see you as an asset. When Scottie Pippen played for the Bulls saw him as an asset. They didn't see him as a person. He was a financial asset. So she saw him as a financial asset. She said, I want to invest. And again, I don't know this lady, so let me just back up a little bit before I get too presumptuous. But, when you see this kind of chaos, it almost makes me feel like this is a strategic woman, and that's the thing. The one of the myths is that the groupie is stupid, that the groupie is some dumb dizzy girl who ain't got nothing to do, who just is just going along to have a party. But the groupie is pretty much in many cases a financial scientist. They really prepare for these guys so they can lock in with them, have babies with them, and get a piece of that money. They know how much money they make. They know that Anthony Davis just signed that $190 million contract. Like they're writing that down. Like they're in a science lab. They got glasses on the nose, like writing down the details of how much of this is guaranteed, girl. And I think that guys don't get that. So you have guys that just trust a big button to smile, and next thing you know, your family wealth is gone. Right, and this ain't even a black woman. I don't know what she is. What is she? Is she black?
She's white, probably Latino or something. I have no idea. But what's even interesting to what you're saying, Boyce, also is that thing. Like, look at the time that her and Scottie got married. They got married in 1997. What was happening in 1997? The Bulls were in the midst of winning their 5th NBA championship, right? like their 5th one, right? Like, so it wasn't like she called Scottie around, rookie season, Scottie who's just finding his way in the NBA. Like, we all watched The Last Dance. We know what was happening in 1997, right? So I imagine if they got married in 97, they probably met no earlier than 93? Let's give them 93. 93, they were in their 2nd championship, right? Like he was an NBA champ. He was a known figure, and they met where? In the city of Chicago. So, like, it goes to your point. It's not like Scottie Pippen was some mystery, right? Like, Scottie Pippen was very well known in the city of Chicago by the year 1997. Hell, even by the year of 1993, if we give him 4 years of dating, which more than likely wasn't the case.
Well, and what's funny, man, is that people lie. Like, people will lie. Like, if you had asked her back in the day, if you said, so what made you fall in love with Scottie? She would say, oh, because he's so sweet. And he's such a nice guy, and he's wonderful with the children, right? Like they'll give you all these like non-serious reasons why they're attracted to him, almost like they would have started dating him if he was wearing a Burger King uniform. And we know that's not the case, right? We know that money matters, right? People pay attention to money. And here's the thing: it's not a bad thing either. It's not bad that money matters. Like, I get on guys a lot, because guys will be mad, like, oh, women, they just gold diggers. They just like guys that got more money. Well, actually, women are wired to be attracted to financial security. I studied that in extreme detail when I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. Women are attracted to financial security, and men can get mad about it, but that's no different from the way men might be attracted to long hair and big booties, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when it's that blatant. See, there's a difference between somebody saying, yeah, I think you're a great person. And it also helps that you have $100 million in the bank, right? That's okay. But when a person is that blatant and you have paid such a high price for this, that's where I think you have to really kind of question, like, was this strategically intelligent? Meaning, so let's break it down like this. Scottie Pippen, over the course of his NBA career, according to my research, has made $109 million. $109 million. And last time I checked, she had never ever put on a Bulls uniform. She had never took no jumpers in the gym. She wasn't there next to Michael Jordan when they was winning them titles. That was Scottie's work. Now these two still are married. There, from what I understand, you could correct me on this, Jeff. You're the expert on this. From what I understand, they do not have a prenup. Is that correct?
No, they do not.
So there's no prenup. You're still married to this lady who's going to jack you for every piece of paper you got in your pocket and get as much money out. Because what they got? How many kids they got? What, four?
Four.
So she doesn't have 4 kids. She got
20 and under. 20 and under.
She got 4 anchors hooked into your financial carcass, right? And so she's gonna be paid off this. And you almost can't get mad at her, except for the fact that it's almost so blatantly disrespectful from the public eye. I mean, just from a public perspective, it's like not only did you come in here and sink your teeth in this man and take his money, but you're publicly humiliating him because you're out here dating guys that are young enough to be your son. Like, doesn't she have a son that's almost as old as the guy she's dating now?
20 years old. He has a son that's a basketball player at Vanderbilt University. He's like 19, 20 years old. And Malik Beasley is 24 years old. So, yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that's a little bit sad because, I'm thinking about legacy, right? You're Scottie Pippen. You put in your work. You played your basketball. No more basketball for you. Legs are bad. Knees are bad. And so most of your high earning years are probably behind you. Michael Jordan is not the case. Michael Jordan just reinvested his assets, and now he makes more money than he did as a player. I don't think Scottie's in the same situation.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so this is all you got. So you're gonna lose a big chunk of that in the divorce. She's gonna get her money, but then also your legacy and your reputation, like your family. I mean, just what your son. Don't they have an 18-year-old son in college?
Yeah, he goes to Vanderbilt. He's a basketball player, and that was the thing about this story with Malik Beasley is that there's been a bunch of stories with Larsa Pippen, like I said, with the Future thing and the Tristan Thompson thing, and like it's not people making this stuff up. It's her getting in front of a camera like we are, talking about these things, talking about being intimate with these men. So like that's not like TMZ's reporting that they saw people leaving at 3 a.m. It's actually her coming out of her mouth. And the son with the Malik Beasley thing, the latest thing, he actually made a statement, right? Like he put out a tweet saying, basically, I can only control what I can control. I can't, be responsible for other people's actions. Now, obviously, he didn't say his mother's name directly, but we knew who the hell he was talking about. He's talking about his own mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause he's in the middle of a basketball season or at the start of a basketball season, trying to get his game right or whatever, maybe, dreams of the NBA or whatever. And he's probably got Twitter trolls or teammates or whoever talking about what his mama's doing, what they see on the internet. So that's sad, man. That is super sad.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of messy, And by the way, everybody, I'm speaking with Jeff Lightsy Jr. from Ball Sports. And also, if you want to follow Jeff, go to theblackballschannel.com. Some of you are watching on the blackballschannel.com, and the blackballschannel.com is a platform we created where black men control that conversation. We believe that the world doesn't listen to black men. So if you believe in black men and you want to hear what they have to say, or maybe you want to be a contributor, go subscribe at theblackballschannel.com. It's right there on the screen. And also when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when they go live. Jeff talks about sports all day. I call him Little Stephen A because he knows sports extremely well. And it was actually from watching Jeff's show that I saw the Scottie Pippen thing. And I said, man, I want to talk about this because we need, men have to have real conversations, and women too, have to have real conversations about relationships and how all this ties into your overall success as a person. Like people who don't think money and relationships are deeply connected don't understand money. They don't understand relationships. Most money, most wealth in the world is accumulated through family. And so who you bring into your family has a huge impact in how you end up financially. For example, Scottie Pippen brings his lady into his life. I'm not dissing her for her choices. She has a right to, she can sleep with whoever I want. I don't care. She can go, I guess empty out the daycare. I guess she should. Well, not the actual daycare, but she's going after all the young boys. That's fine. I mean, whatever, right? Jada Pinkett had that little crazy thing going on. Yeah. And I think that I when I saw this, I almost felt the way I did with the Jada thing, is that we know people are freaks, right? Human beings like sex. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that there's a difference between having your business behind closed doors and having it out in the street, and I think that the fact that she had it out in the street like that, and she's a married woman She's got children, adult children, who are almost the same age as the guy she's running around with. And then also he has a wife. Let's not forget about that, right?
Yeah.
It just, it just creates such a messy thing to the point where I would almost say to guys and women too, it's one thing if you date somebody or marry somebody that's got flaws, but it's a whole nother level when you date and marry somebody whose flaws will spill over in public, right? Where now, your friends looking at you crazy because your spouse is a damn fool. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Ironically, Malik Beasley's wife, like his current wife, looks like a 24-year-old version of Larsa Pippen, which is very strange. I don't know if you can pull that up, but it's like very, very strange how that works out. But like you said, yeah, spilling over in public. If you're Scottie Pippen, like you know who you are, especially during the 90s. Like you in 1997 is particularly like you are a star basketball player. You are in the midst of the Bulls. You are, who you are. And if we just fast forward to like more of these times, Scottie actually filed for divorce initially in 2016 after the Future thing. Because apparently, she was caught messing around with Future. They was button heads. She was caught messing around with Future. And he actually filed for divorce. But what probably stopped him from following through with the divorce and getting back with his wife was the money, not having a prenup. and like, again, Larsa filed for divorce. So like they guess they want to split again. So she files for divorce in 2018 and divorce is never finalized. Now, I've never been divorced, but I can tell you, if you wanted to get divorced over 2 years, you could have made it happen, right? Like if you wanted to get a divorce, like over a 2-year span going on 3 years, like it could have happened, but it never happened. And I think mainly because, like you said, that $100 million that he made in the NBA. And what makes that even more interesting is that during the Last Dance, we all were exposed to how Scottie Pippen mismanaged his first contract, right? Like how he was kind of screwed over by the Bulls and they didn't give him what he felt like he deserved. And I think he got, it was a very crappy contract. I can't even remember what it was. I think it was like 15 million over like 7 years.
I think it was 7 years, $18 million.
$18 million. Okay. So we all we're like, what the hell was Scottie thinking? Like when we all watched it because nobody knew or whatever. And so what Larsa did after that episode aired that night, Larsa pulled up Scottie's career earnings and tweeted it out or Instagrammed it out and was like, Scottie did okay. And that's how most people realize, like, oh, he made over $100 million in career earnings. It's not by accident that she knows that on top of her head. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't by accident that she could pull that up. Because guess what? If this divorce is ever finalized, more than likely she is entitled to what? Half of that or half of whatever's left of that. So that's why today we see Larsa Pippen pulling up to the house that Scottie Pippen lives in, even after she's been trending on the internet the last few days for hanging out with a 24-year-old married NBA player.
Wow.
He can still go home to his house.
Wow. Well, by the way, everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Jeff Lightsy Jr. From the blackballschannel.com, theblackballschannel.com. That's a platform for black men where black men control the narrative there. And if you want to hear from the perspectives of black men or you want to contribute or anything like that, go to the blackballschannel.com. Also, when you subscribe, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and also the notification bell. So the notification bell is important. So you'll be notified when we go live. We have intelligent conversations for intelligent black people. So ignorant people need not apply. But if you want to enjoy intelligent conversations, hit the notification bell, subscribe button. Also, everybody, please right now hit the thumbs up button. Whatever platform you're on, hit the thumbs up button. So one thing I was thinking about, man, is, a lot of times, here's one thing I've learned about marriage. Now, you and I are different in age. I can't. How old are you, man? Now, or 24?
I just turned 25 last week.
25. Okay, so you're too old to date Scottie Pippen's wife. So you out of her age demographic, right? but because I think the guy she's dating is 24. That guy with the Timberwolves. But here's the thing. So I've learned a couple things since I was 25, and one thing that I noticed when I didn't get married. I'm gonna get married next year, and people keep asking, do you have a prenup? Do you have a prenup? And I say, yeah, of course we do. Right? And she's a grown ass woman. She's got a career. She's got assets to protect. So she was happy to get a prenup. Right? It wasn't even like, hey, will you get a prenup? Well, you don't love me. If you get a prenup, that means you don't love me. No, it was like, yeah, what's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. I'm not here to steal from you. I just don't want you to rob me. Let's hope this works out. In case it doesn't, let's make sure we're prepared, right? But that's how we handled it now, right? Now, if we got married a long time ago, maybe it would have been a different type of baggage. But one of the things that I noticed also when I would observe my friends that were married is that a lot of people don't really know what marriage really is like. Like a lot of people have a fairy tale image of marriage, especially when you're young, or maybe you didn't grow up watching two parents negotiate a marriage. I watched my parents stay married for 46 years, and it was some shit. I mean, it was like, some stuff where I would see my dad have to stand down to my mother. He had to submit to her. She had to submit to him. But a lot of people, if you say, well, getting married means you have to submit to your spouse, they'll be like, I ain't submitting to nothing. I ain't submitting to nobody. Well, if that's your mindset, then you probably shouldn't do it because it ain't going to work. You have to submit to something bigger than yourself. And if you think you're the biggest thing in the room, then you'll just be unhappily divorced. With that said, I've noticed that there are some marriages where people get comfortable in a really uncomfortable reality, where there's a lot of complications that happen. Things go down. Maybe somebody cheats and they give their partner an STD and they don't tell anybody because they don't want anybody saying that. Or maybe, or maybe they just given up on each other. They hate each other's guts, so they live together like brother and sister and pretend like they love each other when people are around, but then they go to their separate corners when everybody leaves. Or maybe it's a situation where, and I've seen this too, where one partner, the man don't even like women like that, right? And the wife, she want to go get her a girlfriend, or maybe she wants to get her a man or whatever, right? This happens. This is real. In fact, there are prominent people out here where their whole relationship is nothing but a big facade. Like the husband is gayer than a $3 bill. And the wife is looking at you funny, licking her chops at every sexy man that walks by because she's a single married woman. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever seen? Give me a yes or no in the chat.
Single married woman, man.
See, Jeff is 25, still on the fantasy stage, but and I think it's important to have this conversation across generations because I think it's because we go into shit, thinking things are one way and we get hit in the head with all these realities. But here's the thing, and I started picking up on it when I would go places, and I was speaking, in different places around the country, around the world, and sometimes I would meet a man's wife, and she would literally give me the eyes of a single woman, like look at me like, hey, if you want to make something happen, we can make something happen. And I'm like, but your husband's right there. And then I started, thinking about it. I was like, oh, I get it. Because your husband might be trying to hit on me too, right? like y'all really got a whole illusion created here. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm getting at, right? So I'm not saying this applies to Scottie at all, but what I am saying is that I'd be curious to know what's really going on in that marriage, right? Like if your wife is out here, being out loud with her little situations or whatever, I would be curious I would love to hear her side of the story too, to just know because sometimes if women are out here just acting a damn fool, they could tell you crazy stories about their husbands that would blow you away. What do you think about that? What do you think about everything I just said?
No, yeah. So it almost feels like Larsa has something over Scottie's head, right? Like to continue to accept, her behavior, because it's not like it'd be one thing to mess around on you in private, right? Like, or y'all not together and you doing these things in private. But you got millions of Instagram followers, right? So you're pretty well known, and you're walking through open airports holding hands, like not just even walking together where people got to make speculations, right? Like if I'm just making a speculation because y'all walking next to each other, that's for me to know or for you to know and me to try to find out or whatever. But if y'all holding hands, like you telling me what's going on, like ain't no other grown man just holding hands with a friend, right? Like I know I ain't. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm holding hands with somebody who is presumably my woman, right? Like so, like that. You're not even giving us anything to like try to make, like you said, people try to gossip about or whatever. You letting it be known out in the public, or you're going on interviews, like I said, talking about your relationship you had with Future, talking about your relationship you had with Tristan Thompson or whatever, talking about these relationships you've had with these other prominent men. Like these men aren't just like below the line waistline or whatever. Like Future is one of the biggest rappers in entertainment, right? Tristan Thompson is one of the most well-known athletes simply because of the family that he's associated with in professional sports, simply because of the Kardashians, not necessarily off his talent on the basketball court, but because of his relationship with the Kardashians. So you know how much attention the Kardashian name brings to anybody, right? So like when you do these things, it's and Scottie doesn't, and that's another thing. Scottie doesn't say anything, right? Because it's just technically still his wife. So to not make a statement, and even your son is making a statement. Like your younger, your 19-year-old son is talking about the antics of his mother. For you to not even make a statement is interesting.
Let me just jump in and say that's very sad, by the way. When I was 18 years old, I would not have been wanting to issue statements on behalf of my parents and their ratchet ass behavior. That would probably, I'll probably need a therapist for that one.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, especially when you're essentially a public figure, like when you're a Division I athlete with with dreams of being in the NBA, you're a public figure too. You have a blue check on your Twitter or whatever, so people know who you are simply if you just say your name. My name's Scottie Pippen Jr. Like people instantly recognize that name, even whether you want them to or not. So yeah, that is what is taking place, and like you said, it's very sad.
Yeah, man, I think it's all crazy, and I think it's I think in terms of not making this like a completely ratchet conversation, in terms of because it's not a gossipy thing. It's really, I think, a matter of life. I think life is a great like learning ground, in terms of looking at other people's situations and saying, okay, if I'm strategic about my life, like if I'm really trying to have something, build something up and then protect something, I got to think about who I choose as my wife, right? Yeah. In fact, if you were to think about just the steps, like I love to talk about wealth a lot because wealth is very important for everything else that you want to do in your life. It's a great key to, your freedom, your happiness, all kinds of stuff. So with wealth, it's kind of like the steps are simple, right? You figure out where the money's at, you make a plan to go get it, you go acquire some wealth, and then you must protect it. So that means that who you have next to you is very important because the person next to you is going to be able to help you figure out what your plan is going to be. They're the person. They're your partner in crime. They're the person who helps you in your acquisition process, right? But so if you're trying to acquire and the other person, if you're trying to get it and she's spending it, then you're not gonna have anything, right? Because every dollar that comes in is gonna go out the door. I counseled a couple like that one time where the wife spent 5 years paying off the family credit card. It's like $10,000, and she spent 5 years. She was a bus driver. She spent 5 years paying off this credit card, and right behind her back, her husband took the money that she had saved up to pay off the credit card, and he like put it in to like his like rap music career or something crazy. It was something crazy. Like he lost all the money, and so she was pissed because she's like, everything I'm doing, you're reversing everything I'm doing, right? So you gotta, so you talk about that acquisition process. Having somebody that will help you build is really important, as opposed to getting another dependent, right? I mean, sure, you can get that cute little girl sitting next to you who's gonna look fly on your arm. But if she becomes like another dependent, then you pretty much have just like another child. You're really paying child support at that point, like that's And then God forbid you get a divorce, because then at that point, I don't know how much money Larsa Pippen had before they got married. I doubt if she had $100 million, right? So now when you get a divorce, she's gonna take half of you with her, and I think that, and then the last piece of wealth is actually after you acquire your wealth, you got to protect it. And protecting it goes deeper than just like, okay, what mutual fund am I going to put my money in? Do I get a will or a trust, or how do I set up my insurance and my estate plans? No, it could be as simple as, who the hell do you allow around you, right? You allow the wrong people around you, and you got a lot of money, you are a sitting duck. Like people that have money, like first of all, they get sued a whole lot more than people that don't have money. Lawyers don't sue broke people. Lawyers do not, like if you go to a lawyer and say, I want to sue the bastard, they're gonna be like, well, how much money they got? Well, he ain't got no money, but then they're gonna be like, no, then it doesn't make any sense. But if somebody's got money, they're like, oh yeah, put him in the lawsuit anyway. Maybe he'll pay us just to go away. So people that got money, they get sued. People that have money, they get robbed. How many times have you, give me a yes or no in the chat, everybody? How many times have you heard about NBA players and rappers getting robbed at gunpoint? And it'll be something crazy, like he got, 3 men stopped him at gunpoint, and they took, 25 gold chains and $85,000 in cash. It'll be some old ridiculous stuff. But that's because when you get money, you become a target, and then you can become a target of women, like not good women. Good women don't come after you for your money. It's the strategic, strategizing, conniving, wolves in freaks clothing, right? They're like, okay, I can get him with a big butt and a smile. I can get up close to him, and I can take him for everything. Yeah, and it might come in the form of child support. You know, like, I'm gonna have his baby. That's an easy one. It might come in the form of pretending like I love you, so you buy me Gucci bags or whatever. It might come in the form of a fake rape accusation. There have been guys who were falsely accused of sexual assault, where somebody's like, "Look, I'm a woman. They'll believe me. I don't need no evidence. So you write me that check for 100 grand, and I'll drop the charges. If you don't, then I'm gonna take it all the way." Gloria Allred, actually, who loves to make money off of like wealthy black men. She loves to do it. Every time a woman goes to her and says, "I want to make an accusation against the guy," and there's no evidence, but they're like, "I just want to accuse him in public because he's famous." First thing she says is, "We need you to write a check. You know, you have these victims, and we need you to put money in a fund, you know, so that your victims can be made whole." And she knows she doesn't even have to prove that they were really victims, right? So what I'm saying is that anybody in here, male or female, just know when you get a little something, you gotta be careful about being around people that ain't got nothing to lose, right? That's why you see a lot when people get a little bit of money, they like to be around other people that got something, because then I could tell you that I got a new car without you getting jealous and thinking, well, why ain't I got a car like that? You know, like, or whatever. Or how can I get a piece of that, right? People that have their own are the best people to be with if you have your own too. And then that way, since everybody's worried about protecting what they got, they're not going to be coming after yours as readily. So I think Scottie's going to get ate up. I think that this divorce, you're right. I think he's not divorcing her because it's cheaper to keep her. And when it finally happens, and I think she's going to be the one to file, when it finally goes down, she will walk away the victor. And I checked out this lady's Instagram. She is not a stupid lady. She might be the biggest hoe in the history of hoes, right? She's a super groupie, right? But she is not a dumb lady, and she's gonna walk away probably with more wealth than Scottie Pippen has. And like I said, she ain't never put on a Chicago Bulls uniform, not once, but yet will have more money than Scottie Pippen. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. It is. It's a plan that's been in motion. It sounds like since 1997 at the very least, right? Like it's taken 20 some odd years, but it's gotten you this far, right? Like would Larsa Pippen have millions of Instagram followers if her last name wasn't Pippen, right? Like, would Larsa Pippen be in the same room as a Future or Tristan Thompson, or be able to meet a guy like a Malik Beasley if her last name wasn't Pippen, right? So it's been in motion, and maybe she was in love, right? Like maybe at one point she was in love with Scottie, right? But whatever it wasn't something that was strong enough to keep her from creeping and for him to file, back in 2016. But then he canceled it because, like you said, it's probably cheaper to keep her. And then she filed because he's keeping her around. What it sounds like just from listening to her talk, he was keeping her around because he don't want a divorce because it's going to cost them millions, whatever. So to subtract that, because you really disgusted with what she's doing and what's going on, you just stay away, right? Like you busy yourself with work. You might move somewhere, and they say she's based in LA. You might move back to Chicago or something, like just be away from home, right? Technically. So what happened was she ended up filing in 2018 because of loneliness, right? But the divorce has never been finalized simply because, like you said, it's definitely cheaper to keep her, especially when she knows your career earnings. If she let it be known during The Last Dance, your career earnings were over $100 million.
Yep. Oh, and it's funny how she had such an accurate accounting of exactly what his net worth was. Because a few years ago, Scottie Pippen got accused of being bankrupt, and they wrote a story about it. I don't know if you remember that, and it wasn't true. And I think his wife, like you mentioned there, like she was also one of the people that went out. Oh, I think you did allude to that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Where she went out and basically said, no, here's his net worth. The fact that she's so keenly aware of exactly what the net worth is means that she has a very strong financial consciousness. That's my terminology for that. Financial consciousness is where you know where the money's at, you know how much money you got, right? A lot of people don't have financial consciousness. That's why they don't know how to get any money, because they don't know where the money is. They don't know how to keep it. They don't keep up with what they have. She's very financially conscious.
Well, what I will say, Boyce, I hate to cut you off, but she said in the interview that she was the accountant for the family, right? Like, so Scottie was still hooping. He took care of all the bills. She knew, Scottie didn't even know what bank these were her words. Scottie didn't even know what bank he used, right? Like, she took care of all the bills. She took care of all the finances. So she has an exact account of what Scottie has, right? Like, so that might be. It took me to say it out loud to be that might be the nugget that's dangling over his head. It's like because she knows all the finances, like she took care of it. I mean, I don't know if she still does now, but for the duration of his NBA career and probably up until at least 2016, right? Like she knew every penny that went into his account and that came out of his account. So that's another thing I forgot to mention.
So she's not just a groupie; she's an accountant. An accountant and a scientist. GAS, the groupie accountant scientist. And I, I'm not surprised by that. And here's one thing that's interesting. And by the way, before I forget, let me tell everybody I'm talking to Jeff Lightsy Jr. From the Black Boss Channel. You can go to theblackbosschannel.com. That's a platform for Black men where Black men speak on issues that matter to us. If you should subscribe though, if you want to hear what Black men have to say, go to theblackbosschannel.com. If you're on the channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up button right now. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell. It's very important so you'll be notified when we go live. And you can also follow Jeff on all social media platforms at JLightsy7. So if you're on Instagram, follow him on the gram at JLightsy7. Let me make this last point on this, Jeff. In terms of this, with Larsa Pippen and Scottie and their whole situation. Here's the thing, I'm compelled, I guess, because I'm a man, I have a bias. My bias is to feel like Scottie got played, right? To feel like Scottie was, that she's the puppet master. He's kind of been the puppet. But truth is that would be an incorrect type of bias, I believe. Not only because I don't know their whole situation, but also because Scottie's a grown ass man. He made choices, just like when he signed that crazy $18 million.
Yeah.
So he did it. He did it for certain reasons. He said, I just wanted my family to have security. I'm gonna make a couple million a year, guaranteed. A lot of people won't get mad at that, right? $2 million a year, whatever that number was, or a little more than $2 million a year, back in 1991, 92 was pretty good money, very good money, right? Today it's good money, right? So nobody's gonna feel sorry for a millionaire in that context. Now, the thing about it is also with Larsa Pippen. As much as I'm compelled to be sad and almost, disgusted by her behavior, the reality is that we can't make that, and you said this, we can't make that assumption that she was always plotting and scheming all along, right? I see her more so as a person who might have really been in love with Scottie, really wanted to build a family, really loved her kids. She's also loved sex with young guys, right? There's a lot of women Jada Pinkett jumped out there and kind of opened the bag on some of that too, right? But then also, she's a person that is very much not just financially conscious, but as a result of that, very connected to her own security. She's very, and there are a lot of women like that. There are a lot of women who care deeply about their financial security. They'll say, I love you, but I also want to pay the bills. I love you, but I also want to know that I'm going to be good financially. I love you, but I don't want to fall down in case you decide to walk away. So I don't really think that she's necessarily the demon that she might be made out to be. But I do think that the one thing that really kind of just kind of burns me up is when you got kids and you're doing all your stuff out in public. Yeah. I think that that's the part that probably gets me the most, because if I were one of those kids, I'd be really sad to see my mama in these crazy situations. If I was Scottie, then I guess I'd be sad. But then again, we don't know. Maybe Scottie has his own stuff going on. And if I were her, I think I'd be asking her, like, why are y'all even doing this marriage thing anymore? Like, I just, that part I don't understand. So I'll let you get the last word on it, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's the fact that everything is out in public is what's the most embarrassing. Like you're embarrassing the kids more than anything. You're embarrassing the family name, right? Like, so if you're a Pippen anywhere in Arkansas or in Chicago or wherever the Pippins might be, like, you like, dang, like, you're related to Scottie, like Larsa, like all the stuff, because like I said, it's being played at so public. Like, it's not like it's private. It's not. And when you're in the age of social media and the age of Twitter and Instagram, and that's how Larsa makes her income, is through social media. Like, she's everywhere, right? Like, just like the Kardashians or whoever, like that, they're everywhere. And so when you play this out, you embarrass a family name. Not just it's Scottie, it's the kids, and anybody who has the last name Pippen, essentially, that's related to that family. You're embarrassing the family name, and it's not a good look. And like you said, you just have to be careful who you lay down with and who you choose as a partner.
There you go. There you go. So if we were to walk away with the moral of the story, this is going to come from Uncle Boyce and Dr. Boyce. They both collaborated on this lesson. If you are Larsa Pippen, congratulations on being strategic about your relationships, but don't embarrass your kids and the family in the process. Keep your dirt to yourself. Get chat. Remember Future. If you're messing with Future, just don't forget that this guy has 6 kids with 6 babies, mama. So you might want to stop by and get tested for some of those STDs. Because I'm sorry, ain't no person in the world. This is keeping it 100. There's no person in the world with 6 kids and 6 babies, mamas, who can convince me that they even know what a condom is. Like seriously, like I'm sorry, like that's no, I mean, I know that that's a little bit of a deviation from our core discussion, just in terms of real life, like really, because somebody asked me and said, well, if you were Russell Simmons, Russell, football, the quarterback,
Russell Wilson.
Thank you. I was gonna say Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Right? If you're Russell Wilson, would you have married Sierra? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I think that Sierra seems like a nice lady. And I think Russell Wilson is a smart guy, and he's a great athlete, and they have a great family, a beautiful family. But I would be deeply concerned. I'm sorry. When you go and you've been putting your body parts in what I see is almost like a toxic waste dump. Same thing with men. Like seriously, like ladies, if you got a man that's like, oh yeah, I was raw dogging a couple strippers last week, you got to process like what that might mean for you. Seriously, everybody's talking about coronavirus. Well, there's a lot of stuff. Go to Atlanta, and they got stuff out there that will put the coronavirus to shame. Okay, so you have to think about what you do with your own life and what other people are bringing into your life. That's what I'm saying, right? And I didn't mean to get too raw with that, but I have to be honest with that. But with that said, so if I'm Scottie Pippen, I would look back at my decisions and say, have I been strategic in my life? Did I protect what I have? How did I end up in this situation? I think with the kids, I think those kids need to get some therapy because unfortunately, there's a bright side and a dark side to growing up in a wealthy, famous family, right? The bright side is that you get to do all these great things other kids don't get to do. But on the darker side, you've got your parents out here throwing their crazy stuff out on social media, and you got to deal with that. And I don't think that's mentally healthy for young people. Like I feel really sorry for Will and Jada's kids, and I think that social media might create a space where we are so used to being open and we're living in this new world where everybody's just talking about their personal business that sometimes we forget about the kids. Even I have. I mean, I've had to stop myself and say, wait a minute, I got other people in my family that are going to be affected by the situations I'm in, the conversations I have, who I talk to, or what I say. So it's actually caused me to calibrate certain things in terms of trying to at least say, okay, how do I at least make sure that all of that's good over here before I start getting too carried away with what's over there, right? So I want to say thank you, Jeff, for your time. It was great to see you.
It's great to see you too, Dr. Boyce. I appreciate it as always.
Yeah, for sure. So everybody follow Jeff. Everybody follow Jeff on Instagram and Twitter. At Lightsy7. He also has a YouTube channel. What's your personal YouTube channel?
It's just Jeff Lightsy Jr. It's just Jeff Lightsy Jr.
Jeff Lightsy. Jeff Lightsy Jr. So if you are smart and especially if you like sports, Jeff is one of the best sports analysts I've ever seen, and he's very devoted to what he does. He's extremely good at it. And so go check it out. And he's been like that since he was like a kid. Like his mom tells me, he used to recite sports statistics as a kid and stuff. And also, if you just care about what black men have to say, or if you are a black man, or if you're a black woman who loves black men and want to hear our perspective on things, subscribe to the Black Boss Channel, THE, theblackbosschannel.com. The URL's right there on the screen. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. And we appreciate you guys. Love you. Thank you for listening. And please have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Peace.